Hello, world. It's J Wandoe back again with another episode of the Doe Spot. You know what, Unc? I truly, and we show gratitude on the show. I truly appreciate your presence, man. I don't think I've met a person that I haven't met before like you. And I want my audience to really capture what you bring. Me and Unc had a conversation before we came on here, and let him introduce himself. That was so powerful, and I almost feel like it didn't work out the way it was supposed to, so we could have this moment, if that makes sense. So before we go any further, I want you all to meet one of my friends. I call my friend Unc
Absolutely.
Tomas, and Unc, man, give us a little bit about you, man. How your platform and what you're about.
Yeah,
Appreciate you
nah,
coming
man.
on too.
Nah, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Yeah, it just again, my name is Tomas is my legal name, but I go by Unc. I am a host and creator of the Unc podcast. On the platforms, it's Unc underscore podcast. I'm a ex-businessman, life coach, family man, husband, but I'm a man of God, first, and foremost. I have been really the purpose of the platform was to build a community, of people that probably come from like environments that I come from, which is broken family. We all have some level of brokenness in us as people, no matter
For
where
sure.
we come from. But I would say that, people that come from broken family environments, you tend to end up doing things probably with lack of direction or guidance in areas. And we tend to end up wanting to make changes in our lives. And a lot of times, people from those backgrounds or environments don't realize how accountable they are for the position that they're in. And so, really, it's the point of the community was to be able to talk to individuals to resonate with things that they're going on in their lives, to help them understand that you can do things to be different, that it is up to you, and then that there is maybe a different perspective and a way that you may need to think and look to go about life so you can have the fulfillment and clarity in life that you require. Again, my background in faith again is Christianity. I'm a Christ follower,
Sure.
so
Same. Yep.
the root and heart of messages or anything are always going to be based on a level of Christianity. But I still talk real. I mean, practicality of what's going on every single day in this world, and I try and really get people to understand, like, look. Yeah, you can make decisions, choose to live whatever life you want to live, choose to do anything that you want to do. But if it's not working out the way that you want it or the way that you expected, it's because you probably don't truly understand what you're doing and how you're going about it. So I really just try and give people that clarification and clarity, and then try and get them, what life do you want? Okay, let's really build a plan so you can have that and see if they go through the steps. I would say as a life coach, I would say I'm more like a personal trainer. I'm not a therapist. I understand certain things. I have a background as well and come from things. I made numerous mistakes. I've got so much experience as far as mistakes, relationships, when it comes to business dealings or if it comes to, any of that nature, I've got that, experience, and I try and at least, utilize, that to help others, not, go through those situations. So at least try and keep it, 1,000% real for folks.
I love that. I feel we live, you and I, though I'm a little younger, we live long enough to be able to not use the word gatekeep, to be able to say, I've been through this, and I'm not telling you, I'm really telling you not to go the way I would. So, like you said, giving advice is more guidance, and it's to the people who can use it.
Yeah.
I've run,
Yeah.
yeah, I've run through situations with people. Oh, you think you know everything? No, that's probably the complete opposite. I don't know everything. I'm really trying to gain perspective, like you mentioned, about my life, how it is going
Yeah.
forward. Although
No,
my situation is
absolutely.
unique, you know, I understand that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, I feel like every single person on this planet, their situation is unique, and you may go through a process in life and a path in life that's similar to others, but ultimately, my goal is to help you understand, like, life isn't there is a purpose to your life. You should understand your purpose so you can go about doing it so you can fulfill it. And a lot of people don't understand that, so they just go about life and they just live. And again, they make a lot of mistakes that come back on them later and they don't understand why. So that's really the purpose of it, was just to kind of bring some awareness and help, build a community that had a lot of like-minded folks. So then these people could also connect, because in today's society, one of the hardest things that I'm seeing, people do, and especially the young adults growing up, is connect
Yeah,
with each other. They're just not. It's not.
absolutely.
You don't see whether people believe in marriage anymore or not, but just longevity of relationships, lifelong relationships, building families, doing those things, putting it all together. I just don't see it the same. And I see a lot of people that have a lot of lack of fulfillment, a lot of unhappy folks out there that are trying to connect with others.
I think I feel I'm more of a feel guy. I feel as we and this is where my platform became what it is. J Wandoe.
Mhm.
I took the name from Waldo, the little white guy or the tall white guy, always going around places, being able to explore. Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo? And I've had that approach for my life forever, pretty much. I told this story 3, 4 years old. I think I was 4. It was the first trip I took outside of my hometown, and it was a 3 hour, 4 hour road trip. And from there, I knew like I wanted to explore. I wanted to get out. I knew my little 500, 600 square feet home that I grew up in wasn't enough. It wasn't it. And having grown up in a single parent household, but not single parent as far as just not my mom and dad, but I had my grandparents, and seeing how they operated, I understood then that it was more to life. Unfortunately, but fortunately, I had to move around a lot, different elementary schools. And like every year, I had to meet new people. Every year, I had to reset and become another person because I'm on this side of town. You have to be
Hmm.
you're this way. I moved to this state. I'm this way. I'm a new face. I'm a new whatever. And I know that was God teaching me, for one, don't get comfortable because I got some things I need to move around, and for two, which kind of worked the other way, you're someone that you maybe you don't need to stay in one place because I need to use you here. All right, you did your job. I need to move you here. And even with the podcast, I love that it's so unstructured. I see so many podcasts out there. I love watching them sometimes, but I just feel like it's a little bit too scripted. And that's not. And I'm like, why, what are we talk? What are we trying to do? Because life isn't scripted. You know, so for me, I try to bring that different element to it. And like you said about the community, it's for whoever wants to watch it. You know,
Yeah,
I,
no,
I,
no,
that's
absolutely.
where
I
I'm
mean,
at with it.
I realize as far as the UNC podcast. I mean, UNC stands for Universal. It stands for Universal Network of Consciousness. So it universe is in reference to for me, it was created that way. Our spiritual sense. The network is regarding our physical sense and how we align with other people, and then consciousness is regarding our mental and emotional sense, which for me, understand is the um, three main areas of being, alive
Mm-hmm.
and being alert and understanding. And you need to have balance in all these areas. So really the community is to provide balance in all those areas. I would say the content itself from the young community primarily focuses in on a couple of areas though, because this is just tends to be what my experience of life primarily is what initiated it. So my life, my kids, things like that, and as
Okay.
well as kind of what I'm seeing in the world. It's relationships. I've gone through I've gone through multiple failed, relationships until, I've met the woman that I'm, married to and will be with for the rest of my life. We have a
Love
blended
that.
family. We have a blended family though. I didn't create my entire family with that. So my kids, as well as her kids, have to, adjust to that. And we've done that,
Gotcha. Yeah.
well, but still had to do that. But I failed in that, in the past. When it comes to co-parenting, raising kids in separate
Oh, let's talk
households,
about that for sure.
that's part of the messages that I bring out, because there can be, we don't control any, first of all, control is a fallacy anyway. We're not in
Yeah,
control. You and I know who's in control. We think
absolutely.
that we're in control. We think that we may influence others and do things, but that's by, the gift and power, of our creator and better. So,
Sure.
we are blessed with certain opportunities. But at the end of the day, I realize that I can't control what's going on in You're not with the person that you had kids with. You can't control what goes on in their household. They can't control what goes on in yours. The
or their
messages
past,
or the
whatever they
pat
went through,
right.
you know, whatever they bring it to you.
Yeah, so when you also have to deal with the things are different. Rules and structure may not always continue, and going as a two-way street between both parents. So I talk about co-parenting, as one. And then it's just really, just self-development and growth. The only way that you're gonna become, the only way that you are gonna have the things in your life, whether they're the type of people, the type of success, if you want certain items, you want to be seen in a certain light, it's not going to be given to you. You are going to become that, and then you will have those things. So I try and get people to understand like these are the things that you have to do. You got to take care of yourself. Starts with that, whether that's just
Oh
eating
yeah,
right and being physically active to do things to keep yourself right. You got to do things to keep yourself
time
mentally right
management.
and connect. Yeah, so that's really as far as the content, as far as what I really talk about. So the community of people that I connect with, they're gonna have some type of dilemma or had some type of trying to overcome some their past from one of those areas.
Yeah, and that's as the platform continues to grow, I find it funny that incrementally my podcast is starting to pick up because of those things, and not necessarily to credit you, but you definitely show and have big influence because unlike some people in this world, not just in the podcast world, this that's secondary, but just in the world in general, we have people out here who's like not going to charge you crazy amount of money for their services. They really just want to help you. They're not looking at you and saying, "Well, I've done this, and you got to do it this way or this way." And like I said, our past conversation, it was more so encouragement. And I think we don't have enough people, particularly to the younger people. At adult levels, I think most people are just who they are at this point.
Hmm.
It's a very small percentage of people who are like, you know what, I know I'm 55 years old, but I want to change. I want to get education. I want to make a relationship right with my child. I want to start eating better. I want to stop doing something that I'm so used to, that I'm accustomed to doing. But for the younger people, and I'm saying younger, but that could be 25 and younger, that could be 30 and under, because everyone's maturity level is different. I think where it's hard for them to do is to hear someone tell them something that they really need and reject it, or they're resistant to it. So as we continue to push out this information, we have to not only are be careful about how we put it out, but do the work outside of the podcast. Not everyone's going to sit there and watch a 45, 50-minute episode of what you got going on, but you have to be living the work. You have to be doing it.
See, see
You know,
that right there, that is the nugget I will tell you of the conversation. I'm not in this to, I didn't, I got on social media. I didn't have social media. I had YouTube. I had things like that, where I would watch old videos of highlights of boxing matches, my team, what they did the past week doing football. I'm watching stuff that has not from an educational standpoint. It may have been a couple things you run across, but I wasn't in
sure.
none of that. Again, I was born in the '70s. I'm a Gen Xer, so like I didn't even my kids grew up understanding social media, and I didn't have any of that. I wasn't a part of any of that. I was a late bloomer. But what I really saw is, if to look at it any kind of way, I saw it almost like the Matrix, where you see, okay, there's a lot of people going in and they're connected and they're in and they got this other world. Now I don't even know that world. I don't really understand that world. I'm out in the world actually meeting people, and they asking me for what's your Instagram handle? Well, what's this? I'm like, I don't have any of that. And people looking at, oh, okay, whatever. What's your phone number? Right? That's how we
Right now,
connect.
yeah,
This, and it got to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm behind. I'm behind times. One thing I, learn as you get older, you have to learn from the young so you can remain fast amongst the old. When you're young, you learn from the old so you can remain wiser and more and stronger amongst the young. You have to learn from the old. So it's like you have to get on here, but I got on here not for that. I knew everyone is on social media. The way for me to connect with people isn't to stand on a corner like people would do with a bullhorn and yelling out,
right,
"Hey, save yourself." It's
yeah,
not that you're not going to connect with people that way. But in reality, I'm yelling on a corner on the corner of Instagram and Facebook Avenue, and I'm yelling at y'all and I'm saying, "Hey, save yourself." I'm trying to help because it took for me to make a bunch of damn mistakes that you guys are probably making. If I can hit on a couple that it hit that relates, please, if you need, come talk to me. I can't save everything. I can't save anything, but I can't help you in anything that you're going through or any and everything. But I can be a maybe a factor to help point you in the right direction. Unc is a network. I'm a life coach. I've got experience when it comes to communications and insurance and all different things as far as life. I'm connected with other people from major, whether it was major Fortune 500 and better companies in different fields. No matter what it is. I'm no therapists, doctors. It doesn't make a difference. Lawyers, it know it all. The point of Unc is just to say, hey, if I were to understand that someone and identify, they're able to tell me they have certain issues, and when we able to devise a plan for them to be better for their life, they're able to say, this is what I want to do. Here are the steps that I want to take. Then what I can't do it all. I'm here to connect you with someone else that's able to help you out along the way. So that's really all it is. I mean, that's what we're doing, but you have to do it daily. Yeah, you have to do it daily. I don't know if it froze up. I feel like it
Yeah,
may have
kind of
froze up.
choppy a little bit, but I think that's probably the app. But no, it's
Okay.
like discipleship. It's not it's like you in church or wherever you
Yeah.
gather, and someone
You
someone
got it.
prays about something. It may not relate to you directly. Maybe you didn't lose someone. And I also wanted to caveat, switch over to like grief,
Go
guilt.
for it.
When you are in motion, you are in these situations where you're you're the one. One of your last posts was about say I think it was about saving people.
Hmm.
Um, the recent
You
one you
can.
post, yeah, and you're like you feeling so bad. You seeing everyone going through something, like it's pray, pray for me. It's like I can do that, but what else? Are you going to lay there in your grief and your guilt, and basically not even honor the person that passed away or that you lost in your life? Because some guilt not necessarily come with death. It could just be someone just not being your friend anymore because you two no longer aligned, or you're now you had a baby, or they got a new job, they moved away, so no, you're no longer able to reach that person on the phone
Hmm.
or get that reply right back. And then it instantly goes to, well, I'm lonely. This person doesn't mess with me like that anymore. And I personally dealt with that on both sides. And as I think about it, I'm like, wow, if this person was really my friend, or if this person was really like we were like that, they would be more compassionate. But at the same time, that's how I think. I would want people to feel, oh yeah, you know what, you understand my situation. You're able to not even necessarily relate to it, but you can understand why. And so many of us in our community, black, white, whatever, just in our community, so we aren't able to reach into that part of us to say, I can understand what you're coming from. I'm not going to be selfish. I will still check on you. I'm still concerned about you. Instead of being, oh man, you forgot about me. Let's dead the conversation. Let's not grow together. And so I think that's probably where that helped me back a lot in life, because I continued to reach out, particularly when I went into the military. When I was 19, 20 years old, I felt like I left people. I felt like I didn't know my purpose at the time, so that guilt was there. I'm trying to help myself. I want this entity, this business, because the military is a business. I want this business to take care of me. They're giving me all these promises. I'm going to travel. I'm going to be able to fight for my country, but at the same time, I'm able to take care of myself in a way I've never been able to before. And then you get those feelings from people who, they just don't understand, and I didn't know how to explain it. So I ask you, like, have there been, or what moments in your life where you felt like you had to move away or get away in order to reach those levels of peace?
So, so I had to. I mean, I'm a Northern California guy, born and raised Northern California. Was there most of all my life. My family and I relocated out of California during COVID, and everything about me during that time was calling me out of California. Everything that I was seeing, everything that I knew was calling me out of California, but it was a major change for everyone in my entire family. You got, even though I've got adult kids, I've got some that aren't. We've got a life in an area. However, I mean, I've had own business. I could work remote, things that I could do that said this is the time to do it. This is the time. COVID's happened. The world is shut down, and I just had to make a change. Now, when you do that, you lose people, right? Not
Mm.
from the standpoint that you're not friends with them anymore, but as you stated, the connection that you once were isn't going to be as
Yeah,
close. You saw them
I get
maybe
that.
once a week, which means that you probably talked to them a couple times, and then what you guys did was more in line because you were doing more of the things together. Now you're not. Now I'm in a different place. So I mean, I would say that was probably one of the biggest change is because it's a new life, it's new people, it's new purpose. It was kind of, there was a reason for doing it. It's probably the biggest, but I realized that every 5 years or so, if you really think about it, unless they were childhood people in your life, the people kind of tend to evolve. You you tend to have, like, every 5 years or so, you will tend to have a different group of people that are in your circle. And if that
True.
is taking place, it's nothing really to grieve off of. I mean, it's just it should be growth, not, it should be a different growth instead of
Right.
grief, because
Like that.
there might be some guilt that you feel because you are growing maybe to a direction or it's somewhere that others that were in your life aren't, and you could feel bad that they're getting left behind in your mind, right? But left behind
Exactly.
again is just your perspective based off where you're going. They're not meant to go there. So it just means that they have come as far as they were supposed to along the way. Doesn't mean that you won't talk to them again. Doesn't mean that you won't have influence over their life or they won't have influence over yours, but it won't be the same because you've been aligned differently. I've learned to take that as my approach when I realize that anything in life becomes a difficult change, because that's really what it is. We change.
Yeah.
The reason why people end up being different or you're not around them anymore is because of change. You've made changes in ourselves. I'm thankful that they haven't been negative changes. So it's one thing.
Okay.
It's like, I've changed
Exactly.
because
Thank you.
because
That's why
I
I'm so
had to go.
comfortable now
Right,
because it's not
exactly.
negative. Yeah.
You're growing. I'm growing. I feel
Yeah.
like I've grown. I'm doing things. I'm more valuable to the people that I'm no longer around. They're still my family. You look said, hey, we're friends. I'll be upfront. Jawan, we've talked to each other a couple times on here. You did mention we tried to do one of these before, and you're right.
Right.
We had all kind of issues. It
Yeah.
was sinking. I don't know. I had just moved into this studio. Man, I was having all
Yeah.
kind of problems. So
Sure.
we actually recorded it, didn't put it out because it wasn't meant to. And I don't look at you as a friend. That's not how I do stuff. I mean, once people become a certain point, they become family. Friends are people that
Same.
you don't connect with, you don't collaborate with, you don't talk about personal things.
Mm.
You know, you might talk about some personal things with friends, but you're not doing all these things, with them. Family is to me the longevity.
Right.
Friendships can be strong, but family doesn't always have to. Family's meant for a lifetime, and it doesn't always have to be blood. So people, when they come into the community or when it's part of for me, it's part of family. It's not a friendship. So I don't.
I appreciate that, and
Yeah.
I feel the same.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so if we didn't talk for 6 months, we would catch right up. Not
Get
like,
back.
oh my God, I can't believe you haven't talked to me in 6 months. I can't believe this didn't
Right.
happen. Where you been? You sucker. We're not doing each other like that, right? It would
Sure.
say,
Right.
oh man, what you been up to? I see you growing. Oh my
Right.
goodness, dude, what's taking place? How's the wife? How's
It's
the
all that.
kids? Do you
It's all
see?
that.
So that
Yeah.
it's from there. So yeah, I
But
probably
maybe
just.
we need to redefine what we see or call family. Recently coming up the 47% decline or decrease in family reunions. I know some people never had a reunion. My family we went 50 something years straight. I'm talking
Mhm.
about, well, I think it was 50 something, but like from the 70s to like mid 2010s or something like that, where it was like every year. even if it was in our city of Florence, South Carolina, where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
or closely, and then it started to branch out. We would do cruises every 5 years, and that's funny you mentioned 5 years. So every 5 years, it could be like Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Florida, and then that fifth year cruise back home. And it was mapped out. Everything was aligned. You knew who people were. You knew all the uncles and connections to these uncles
Yeah.
and aunties you had, and then all of a sudden, I think it was before COVID. We got older. People grew. People stopped seeing the value in themselves. They were embarrassed about by certain things. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was a teenage pregnancy. Maybe it was something that somebody got arrested. Just normal. I guess family. No, maybe it's not normal, but those family issues that come up,
Yeah,
and maybe
all
I don't have the
issues.
money. It can be anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be issues. If you were a part of a family that had family reunions and it was a good gathering and they did it every one to few years. If you were one of those, you've got a strong family line of people. You got a strong connection of everyone being there. However, um, a lot of folks don't come from that. I think a lot of us now, a lot of people don't come from that. So when you have the teenage pregnancy, when you have the teenage pregnancy, when you have the divorce, when you have those different things, you have the broken families, and now people don't feel a part of. They don't want to be. You've got it may have been you know your family doing it, and then you get married, and now your ex doesn't want to be a part of it because she's not it's not blood, and now the
Dang, man.
kids are there. So that's
Yeah.
what happens. So it's and if you really look, it's the cycle has happened, quite a bit, when it's come to that. So
Mm.
family unions may not be as prevalent, as they once were, but family is still very much prevalent. We don't always look because
Right.
we say, hey, you got to be born into the family. I don't know. I mean, I think
Yeah, I'm not
I've
traditional
been
like that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I would love for if that world was like that and we all could be, tradition. But I think there's too many people that you meet outside, of your own bloodline that are gonna have more value or effect directly to your life than the ones who are blood. And that's no shame to the ones who are blood. It's not their, it wasn't meant for them to do that. So why would I look at someone who's not blood less than?
I'm a person of signs, and I'm not saying like, I'm from the South, but I'm not one of those people like the
Yeah,
devil did this. But I do feel God is in this room. He's in this space, and as we
absolutely.
talk, it just I give him praise right now because I don't know too many family members that I could even have these conversations with. Forget the YouTube, forget the likes and all that stuff. I feel more connected to the person. Every episode I have, it's always been that person connection. Now, however, the person, whoever's looking at it, takes it is how they take it. And I think with social media, which I could tell you do this for the people you're reaching out to, but so many people go out to social media for following, but then like you said, the work, well, like I said earlier, the work isn't really being done. Now, this isn't for everybody because some people have entertainment driven podcasts. And
Mhm.
I like those too. I listen to like an 85 South show, and it is funny. It's hilarious a lot of times, but it is also some lessons in there as well. Versus just getting the instructional, and it's hard for some people to gain. So for us to have a following at all is saying a lot, at least for me. Because like you
That's the
said,
same thing that I said. Like I couldn't
yeah,
believe it. Jawan, I couldn't believe it. I mean this. Like I think I have been in awe. I have been
mm,
in complete awe that in a little over a year, by actually setting my mind and putting out videos, and it
right,
hasn't been every day. And these
right,
are these are videos that I don't have nobody writing for me. I don't have anybody putting this stuff together. I
yeah,
just, I take time to think about what is going on in my life, to what's going on in the world. I pray.
mm,
I talk with God, and I truly, I mean, I just these are things that are going on, and they always are things. Every single thing that I talk about, I have gone through. There's none of this that I haven't gone through. So whether I relate a
that's
direct
important.
story where it's about me, or not,
Hmm.
I'm relating a story that is factual and is real. And I have gone through the experience, whether I provide my direct experience or not, because my experience doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't.
I agree.
What's
Sure.
really crazy is that I use it because it helps other people to connect, to say that he's not fake. He's being real. But
It's important.
what I've gone through doesn't matter, because when I talk to people, what I'm saying to them still ends up relating because it makes sense. So if it makes sense, and what I'm actually saying to you is actually more that matters, I will give you some feedback to say, but this is how it also related for me. With some folks, so they can say, "Oh, he has been through this. There's something that
Hmm.
is there." But the reality is truth is truth. And the sometimes the worst way to learn is to make the mistake. Sometimes the worst way to learn is to go through the experience. There's definite things that you should not go through in life if you can avoid it. But if you go through it, you just need to know, all right, well, you gotta have the plan to bounce back.
You know what it feels like now. You know what it looks like. You know what it cost you. You know what benefits came from it.
Man,
But
yes,
can you
yes,
continue? Can your body, can your mind, can your bank account, can your kids continue to suffer based on your suffering? Can we keep saying, my dad did me wrong? That's what we talked about last time.
yeah.
I was on that, but I since talked to my dad. I since actually had a not only a phone call but a face to face where he had to look me
So
in my eye and hear me.
yeah,
He had to see me in my husband, father, teacher, leadership role and say, "Dang, I missed all this. You did, but I'm here for you.
yeah,
I'm not in the little kid form anymore though. So now you didn't do your job. Let me show you what your job should have looked like in a way.
mhm,
Had you done these things, this is a result. So if you follow Unc's message, whether it was from 8 months ago or whatever, not necessarily following it to the T, not like a workout plan, but just using it as a guide and say, "Hey, I don't talk to people as much as I should be more accountable. I'm not reading my Bible. I'm not focused on God before I do things. I don't pray first. And I'll take another message from Wando and say, man, he went through this experience before. He met this type of person, and this is where he became. And I think that should be enough for us. But unfortunately, we as Americans, we want more than we can handle a lot of times. We take in too much. One of my topics, I got notes all over the place. So
mhm, no,
it
no,
was
bro.
suffering from excess. So I mean, I look in my garage sometimes, like, why do I have all these shoes and these clothes that I'm never going to wear again? I need to get rid
Man,
of it, and I feel like that's a lot of our information. We need to get rid of it. This all
I
this experiences like we talk about, we need to get it out.
I
It has
agree.
to it has to go somewhere, or it's just going to sit in our little space. We're going to walk around dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression because we don't know how to talk to people, or we haven't been driven enough to put it out in the world. So again, I just again show gratitude, like listening to you, knowing and also knowing that you see me too. So like if we weren't following each other, you couldn't see me putting information out, then it would be like no one even really matter. But because we are family, we do have a connection in a sense. We really holding each other accountable without having to say, "Hey man, did you post today?" And make sure you get make sure you say this next time. You don't have to be that. So
And and I and I can tell you gotten comfortable. I can tell you
sure,
gotten comfortable. Like
for
I
sure.
can, and there's no, you know what you want to do, and what's going to
Hmm.
take place is it'll continue to develop. Like the what I'm doing today wasn't what I completely saw when I first started. The first videos I ever made, the first thing I look back, I'm like, I
I
don't
love I
even
love going back.
remotely do anything like that. But it's just because you just start getting comfortable and you feel okay. It's like anyone, nothing is gonna be perfect, but you put things out that matter, because I think
Yes.
we were made perfectly imperfect. I think
Imperfect.
that's
I
how
agree.
we were created to be.
Mhm.
So we are supposed to learn, as far as in order to get better. We're supposed to understand, how where we're supposed to get our internal strength from. As people, these are the things that we're supposed to do, and it helps us, throughout the days of living here. I don't, there's no guarantees for anything or for anyone. So it's
No,
just, yeah. So it's, you want to live in the most fulfilling way possible while you're here. I mean, that's just what I try and get, people to understand. And that's really what, to me, it sounds like that's what, you are trying to, convey and understand from the people that
absolutely.
you talk to. That's what I'm trying to convey to the people that I talk to. I've got some services where I can, help them directly, if need be. But it's not necessarily that I'm here trying to say, hey, I'm trying to life coach everybody. I don't have the time. I don't have that, but I will. I will help, certain folks who are serious, about changing their lives. I'm not a panderer. I'm not trying to make anyone feel good about themselves, but I will encourage everyone to be better. And I will definitely, and I recognize people's greatness because every single person has a gift. We all
Right.
have gifts. Some people just
Yes.
don't understand exactly what their gift is, and they don't understand like when they have it, what to do with it. They don't even know that it truly is the gift that that they have. So for me, I just try, I try and get people to kind of understand that. Don't worry about happiness, worry about fulfillment, and everything else will kind of like fall into play.
I love that. I love that. When we talked last time, I think I was focused on audience, and as I go forward, I'm realizing I am. Excuse me. I realize that we, not just you and I, but people
Mhm.
of our community, are enough of the audience to cater to. And what I mean by that is, I feel like if I say I want to help out kids or whatever, and I only go to one high school. What about the elementary school and the middle school teachers, the students?
Yeah.
Am I really, because I'm trying to find this one group and I got, my barriers up or I got my blinders on. Am I really going to get, get the message out to who I really need to get it out to? And a perfect example of that is, excuse me, a recent seminar I went to. I was actually asked to speak, had a public engagement. And in my head, I was like, at least I'm going to be prepared. I wrote out like a 2 page, script. I had a prayer on it. I kind of ran down my life and everything I needed to run down. And when I looked out in the crowd, I seen no one that looked like me. But at the same time, the message itself was the message that someone needed. Like these are a lot. They were older people. They were in different careers, and I had
Hmm.
to remind myself that God is a God of the people. He's a God of love. So if you included him in whatever you're doing, as long as you're staying on his path, it don't really matter who hears it today or hears it next week.
I
The
agree.
message is out. As long as people can see him through you, you've
Yes.
done your
Yeah.
part.
And I'm so happy you said that because throughout this process,
Mhm.
one of the things before I ever started, before I ever launched a single video last year, did anything, Unc was in the process for at least 2 years before that. Like I've been working with a creator, or helping me. I shouldn't say he helped me create my vision board to the things that I wanted to do. Like I was putting it together. These are the things you're gonna need. Like it was prepped. I had primarily everything I needed probably 2 years before I ever started.
Right.
Like everything was kind of built. I was focused in on other things and I just was kind of taking my time and wasn't
Yeah.
just didn't put it out there. But that's when I look back, the whole point was to make sure that material was there as a encyclopedia or as a resource, as a Wikipedia
Resource.
that you could go
Mhm.
to and always see. It doesn't matter when you listen. You know how many videos now that I've gone on, and now I utilize YouTube and social media differently. I've got the people that I follow because I'm actually gathering information that I listen to or that I want to have to keep me going, as well as I watch some people as far as because no matter what, I'm delivering a message, but when it comes to social media and your platform, it still has to be delivered in a way so people will actually enjoy it and watch it and take it for what it's worth. It can be completely basic from a phone and you could be eating food and doing whatever and people follow.
Mhm.
But and then there's some that will have, they will have podcasts, they'll have special effects, they have all these things. So it just depends on whatever that creator, it's whatever their mind sees. So there's things that I follow based off things that I like that also inspire me to say, hey, wonder if this could happen with Uncle one day. Like I can tell you, I never envisioned Unc with basically an animated cartoon version of myself.
That's
I didn't
fire.
envision
That's
that.
dope. Yeah.
Man, it's been one of the best. Jawan, it's been one of the best things that's ever happened. And do you? And I don't know if I told you this story. She, it's funny because I don't think she really wants to, to give credit. But it's a lady that
Kippy Arts.
yep,
It's the,
yeah, well, yep, yep.
oh yeah.
Because I put her. You hit her up.
I didn't hit her up. I sent her to somebody asked me based on you. Hey, I see your
Man,
guy
so
got the animated.
because yeah,
Also,
because I had asked her, I was like, hey, I said I would, make sure I recommend. I've sent
hmm?
recommendations out, but she was like, no, no one's reached out yet. But and I don't, and I was like, hey, well, if any point in time, I ever, like highlight you, she was like, no, I don't, and I'm okay with that. She was a
Yeah, no
follower
pressure.
that she was
Right.
just a random, lady out there, and she decided to go ahead and follow, and I just happened to see her artwork, her thumbnail, and it was like this animated. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I just looked and I just looked and I was like, hey, and I reached out by chance. Is this something that,
Yeah.
I could, utilize your services for? And she was like, oh, yeah, I'll go ahead and get it. And I was like, no, 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 no. No, I want to utilize you, not
Right.
just send me some, no, no, no. I think, can you go ahead and take a look at some of and it came to, Joanne, it came to me just like that. And I asked and she
Right.
said yes. And she has developed even more. Like it started out one way and I'm
Yeah, I
looking
can
at the
tell.
development on it. It's getting better. And there's some stuff that I
Yeah.
haven't even shown yet. It's just,
Okay.
in the works. And I'm like, I didn't expect that. So what I'm saying is you just start and then you go and then you grow. Maybe one day I thought about, I was like, shoot, does this end up Unc gonna have a cartoon one day? I was like, maybe
Yeah.
this could end
Yeah.
up,
Yeah. For
it's like
sure.
right,
I
right.
can see that.
No, I mean joking around, but you never know. I mean it. So I'm on here just to make sure that connect. To look at the old material. The old material is still good. The new material just brings up
That's wicked.
the new material just brings up the old material in a different way. The message doesn't change. I don't have a million new things to say to somebody. What? I don't know. There's
It's
core
exhausting just to
things.
even think about that.
I'm just gonna tell you the same thing over and over and over again because sometimes I'm either planting a seed or I'm watering one that's already been planted. But the more, I may be watering it years down the line, but the way that I watered it, man, now that it was planted many years ago and now it grows and whatever I'm saying makes sense to the person and they decide to move forward. That's all it is. The material will always be there.
One of the most in line with what you're saying, one of the most, I guess, flattering things I tend to experience on a regular basis is when I meet someone, whether they be like shout out to my boy Pierre, who's gone on in life to be an actor. I met him in 2014 on my way to Japan. I got relocated to Japan. I met him in the airport in at SeaTac, or SeaTac in Seattle. I'm leaving from Georgia. He's coming from I think Texas, and he was a 19-year-old kid at the time. I'm 27, so I'm like, you can in the military you can usually tell like the younger kids versus the people that have been around. But this was my first time uh, PCSing as they call it, and it was his first base. So I see him walking up the escalator, and I'm meeting. He was lost. I could tell he didn't know where to go, and I could as I'm saying feeling some spiritual some book in the Bible that talks about something like that. But I'm watching this young man go into this place, and I didn't know where I was going either, but I had more knowledge of my space. And they have the USO. Anybody sees the USO? That's for military, usually active duty. We go in there, we get snacks, we get drinks. They let us rest. They keep up with our flights and everything else. So I was like, hey, let's go to this USO place. And he had no clue. I could tell he was like really excited about it, and I'm just like, yeah, that's I've been through this, bro. Like this is our thing. And fast forward, we end up talking, getting stationed at the same base. This man, even at 19, our birthdays are like 3 or 4 days apart, so we're both Tauruses, and we're like just had a connection. Even being so much apart in age, he was someone that I always knew listened to me. Like he was one of my first, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, guests as far as what it was like you talked about 2 years ago. You
Mm-hmm.
started yours up. I had this type of like almost like a ministry in my mind back then, I was going through a lot of stuff, dark place, being moved to not even just a new location, but to a new continent, to a whole new culture, going from Georgia, the state of Georgia, to Japan. Left a lot of people behind. I had a lot of uh, back to that guilt thing, feeling like, man, I'm moving past my people. Now I have to go find out who I am again. But to have somebody right there, like soon as I got, before I even got to the place, the destination I was going to, I had somebody right there to not only help lead, he was supportive. He continued to like to stay, keep up with me. And now, we had a good time. I was only there for a year. He stayed a little longer, but to watch him develop from that Air Force guy to become a car salesman to get into acting, and now he has his own movie out. You know, just big things happening, and him still have these. We still have conversation, and he can say, "Man, I remember back in blah 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 year, you said this to me," and that's again, that is one of the things that I feel as we go through life, we should be not necessarily aiming towards, but just be good, genuine people, because you never know who remembers what you said to them. So even like you said, you're dropping these seeds, and it's not for you to just sit there and look at it and say, come on, seed, grow." Once you put it in
No,
there, just leave it. Let God take care of that.
that's exactly what it is. That's where the saving part came in when you talked about that
Mm,
video. We can't save people.
right,
You can give people the direction, or you can give them knowledge. A you can give them a plan on how to move forward. You can do those things, but you cannot save them. They are going to make the decisions for themselves. You cannot
right.
do it for them. So yeah, no, you're right. You just plan it. You just kind of let it go. And if people make mistakes, you got to you got to let them make the mistakes. A little bit
Yeah,
different when the closer they are to you. Like if you got a wife, you got kids, you got things, you got brothers, sisters, very close. It's harder to let them make the mistakes because you have so much love for them. You want to do
that's
things
right.
to prevent them
Right
from
for
doing
them.
it. But even
Mm,
then, you can't. And that's the experience part of life that people learn. Young parents, young people that don't have, they will do too much for their kids. You see grandparents and things, they will give, kids love grandparents, but you realize that the grandparents typically don't give them everything, but they feel like they're
yeah,
spoiled. But then all of a sudden the kids listen to the grandparents more than they listen to their parents. It's like, well, why? It's because a lot of times grandparents have the wisdom. They've learned to empower kids. They've learned to kind of do things to where they get the most out of them. They've learned. It's just wisdom. They've learned how to go through the process. They've already raised kids.
that's right.
So it's just, kind of difference in life. So I'm with you. Plant the seed or provide some water, let it go.
That's great, man. I'm
Yeah.
just thankful to be at this point in life to be able to
Nah.
have
Yeah.
these type of conversations, man. Like I know I'm very comfortable with telling or talking to people, and
Same.
I met with a lot of resistance. People that may say, podcast or whatever you got going, even if just a phone call. Sometimes not everyone is willing to sit there with you on the phone, or not necessarily to share your whole life with them, but just tell them what's going on. It's easy to be like, oh, it's all good, I'm fine, you know, or just switch the topic and be like, well, what you got going on, instead of
Yep.
addressing certain things that have held you hostage. And again, don't dump everything on me. Like, hey, do not dump all your problems on me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying find someone who's willing to listen to you so that you can
Yeah. Oh,
move
yeah.
on.
Absolutely. And,
Like, let's
and
move on.
I'm and I'm gonna add to that for men.
Mhm.
Please, men, if there's any message, the listeners to J Wandoe, any listeners for fellas, you don't feel like a lot of people will tell you to never be able to share your feelings and emotions and all of that. Now I'm not, it's not about that. And you need to have men in your life that you can talk to about the things that's going on. Yes, men might give you a hard time about things, but that's how we show that. That's how when a man kind of talks mess about you and he's your friend, that's his way of showing you love. That's just kind of how we do.
Right.
But when you are really needed and you really need someone to be there, or you kind of really need, some support, and you talk to a man about really what's going on, men are gonna be there for you. You gotta be able to have those. And if you don't have a man out there that you can talk to about things going on with you, then it's time for you to figure out, how to find one, whether that is a counselor, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a pastor, whether it's, somebody, a mentor, anyone, anywhere. You need to find male figures in your life. They're not the ones they're not just your peers. They might be your peers, but it's always good to look and find, some men that are a little bit older, have gone through some
Exactly.
things that you can run things by. You can do whatever you want to do, but you just want to run things, by them to build at least to see if your mindset is in the right area or not.
Or the opposite. I all the time, 50, 60, 70-year-old men. Hey man, let's go get some lunch. You know, tell us what's going on with you. Okay. And
That
and
too.
I have yet to be like to hear them as you did what? You need to blah 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 blah. I mean, these men, some of them have been divorced two, three times. Some of them, they're in the church, they're deacons, and they
And
do all things that people see
that's
as like,
yeah,
oh,
that's
but they're
me.
like they made mistakes. They have gone through things, and it's more so like, let's while this brother is growing and transitioning, let me take a little moment with them and show him that I got you. You
Yeah,
can lean on me, you can depend on me, and we want to depend on you. You bringing some light to our lives. So I don't feel like you're too old, to listen to people, or that you're too young. For anybody younger, that you're too young to know if anyone's listening to you. The validation is going to come from the work. It's likely not
yeah,
going to be you did a great job or thank you for that. You might not even get a thank you from some people. If you're speaking what you need to be speaking, you may not get the admiration that you may be feeling. You may not be fulfilled with the response you get, which is why I think people don't answer. Excuse me, don't ask certain questions. They're like, this person may say something to me I might not like, or I didn't, I didn't feel what they said. To be, oh, they didn't agree with what I said. Yeah, just release it. And that's probably more so from an advice standpoint. I'm not saying just go do it today, but I had to learn that to get to where I am now. That's where the comfortability is coming in. That's where I'm a whole lot of ease of what I say on the camera. At one point, I was always thinking like, who's gonna hear this? Well, I already addressed everybody I needed to address at this point, from top to bottom. So at this point, whatever you hear on this mic is what you hear. I'm not
that's
asking them for
hey,
forgiveness.
that's
Like I lived through things. I prayed. I repented on a lot of things. I know there's some lives I messed up along the way. Hell, my life has been messed up too. But you know what? Hopefully, everybody has grown up, continues to grow up, and we just focus on prosperity going forward, man.
and yeah, we got get these conversations out there because that's one of the things I'm gonna
I,
start doing now that it's been growing. I'm
mm,
starting to ask like, what do they need? Like, what do the community like? What are some of the questions and stuff that they have? Like, where their mind, where your mind at? Just trying to get some ideas from certain people out there, and then create videos around answers and responses to that. So,
for sure.
thinking about that as well.
As yeah, we're gonna go get that done. Shout out to all black men need therapy. It's a podcast, but I look at it more of a friendship. Chief
Hmm.
Bell and Princess Powell. I took one of those shots in the dark, and I reached out to Prentice. Shout out to Prentice, who's a world-renowned poet, and we talked, we discussed some things. He called me through Instagram, and I was shopping, and I missed the call. And when I called him back, he didn't answer, and I was like, dang, in my mind, I missed my moment. But
Nah,
same thing with you. I felt like, okay, when the time is right, we're gonna get the call. I'm gonna get him on. We're gonna have a conversation, whatever it may be. So, to anybody listening, please don't give up on your opportunities. Now, you may miss that opportunity, but there's more. If you continue doing what you're doing, that's really what I'm just driving home. You're doing what you're doing. It's gonna work itself out. That just may be the
absolutely.
time where you need to grow and like you talked about gathering more. I use a toolbox. Put more in your toolbox to be able to utilize more resources and grow some. Put out more information, and then once that conversation happens, you're prepared. You're not starstruck. You're not worried about what may or may not get said or what gets cut out.
Yeah, because I mean, a star isn't really a star. It's just a person that people know more than they know you. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that's it. And typically
yeah.
stars, they have gifts, but they're not that much better than anyone else. They just have whatever that they've been able to do.
And
They've
I
been able
and
to
I didn't get that from
monetize it
him.
more.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't I don't get
yeah,
that from him. He's a real
yeah,
dude. Like we talk.
yeah.
I shared information with him, and it was all good. So again, Prentice, when I have you on, we're gonna have this. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have some good dialogue. Thank you
Man,
for
but
coming on.
nah,
Please
man,
share your information. Come on, man.
of course, Jawan, man, keep pushing forward. You're doing good things, and I can see that
No doubt.
you're growing, and we will continue to collaborate and make sure that our communities intertwine and that we
Yep.
build. Man, we did the same fight. We're doing the same thing, trying to
We're in
accomplish the
alignment. We're in
same
alignment.
mission. So
It's J Wandoe, the Doe Spot. We're just gonna catch back up and keep doing these things, man. Peace and love to y'all. Thanks for having you on, brother. We'll talk soon, man.